If you're tired all the time, even on days when you didn't really do anything, this video is for you. And before you assume it's your sleep, or your motivation, or your discipline, it isn't. Because the exhaustion most people feel today doesn't come from effort. It comes from something quieter, something that drains your attention a little at a time, all day long. And once you see it, you'll understand why rest alone never really fixes it. You can sleep for 8 hours, wake up, and still feel tired. Not the kind of tired that comes from hard work, but a quieter one. A heavy, dull tiredness that sits in your head. And what makes it confusing is this: you didn't really do anything. No intense physical labor, no long day in the sun. Maybe you even had a light day. And yet, by the evening, your mind feels spent. Focus is harder. Small things feel irritating. And the idea of doing anything meaningful feels distant. Most people explain this with simple answers. I'm lazy. I lack discipline. I just need more motivation. But that explanation never fully fits. Because even on days when you try to rest, the tiredness doesn't really go away. That's because this kind of exhaustion isn't coming from your body. It's coming from something much harder to notice: your mind. For most of human history, being tired meant something obvious. You used your muscles, you walked, you carried things, you worked until your body had nothing left. And when you stopped, your nervous system got a clear message: it's over. But modern tiredness doesn't come with an "it's over" signal. Because most of the work isn't heavy, it's invisible. It's your brain running a background program all day. Here's what that looks like. You wake up, and before you even sit up, your mind is already doing small calculations. What time is it? What did I miss? What's the plan? What's urgent? What's late? Then the day starts adding tiny demands, and none of them feel hard, which is why this is so confusing. You answer a message, you see another notification, you remember something you forgot, you open a tab, you close it, you open another, you switch tasks, you switch again, and every switch costs energy. Not because you're weak, but because your brain isn't a machine that can change direction for free. Each time you shift attention, your brain has to reload context. Where was I? What was I doing? What matters? What's next? Now add something even more draining: self-monitoring. In modern life, you're not just doing tasks, you're watching yourself doing them. Am I doing enough? Am I behind? Do I look productive? Am I wasting time? Should I be improving myself? That constant inner checking creates a low-level tension, like having a phone in your pocket that might buzz at any moment. Even when it doesn't buzz, part of you is waiting. So you end up in a weird state. You're not sprinting, but you're never fully resting. You're not lifting heavy weight, but your mind is always carrying something. And by evening, you don't feel sleepy, you feel mentally spent, like your attention has been drained out of you in small withdrawals you never noticed. What makes this kind of exhaustion hard to escape is that it isn't caused by one thing. It's the result of multiple systems quietly pulling on your attention at the same time. Start with work. For many people, work no longer has clear boundaries. There's no moment where the day ends in a way your brain can recognize. Emails don't say, "This can wait." Messages don't say, "You're allowed to ignore this." And even when no one is actively contacting you, the possibility that they might keeps part of your mind online. Then there's technology. Most apps aren't designed to be used, they're designed to be checked. They don't ask for long attention, they ask for repeated attention. A glance, a scroll, a refresh. Each one feels harmless, but together they train your brain into a pattern of constant interruption. And your brain adapts. It becomes quicker to switch, but worse at staying. Now add productivity culture on top of that. The idea that every moment should be optimized, that rest needs to be earned, that if you're tired, the problem is your habits, not the environment. So instead of questioning the system, you turn the pressure inward. You try to manage your energy while living inside a setup that continuously drains it. That's why this exhaustion feels personal, quiet, hard to explain. The system never says, "This is too much." It just keeps asking for a little more awareness, a little more responsiveness, a little more availability. And because each request is small, you don't notice the cost until your mind feels empty at the end of the day. When people feel this kind of constant exhaustion, they usually don't blame the environment. They blame themselves. They assume something is wrong with their discipline, their motivation, their mindset. And that assumption doesn't come from nowhere. Modern systems are very good at turning structural pressure into personal responsibility. If work feels overwhelming, the advice isn't to question the workload, it's to manage your time better. If your attention feels scattered, the solution isn't to reduce interruptions, it's to build better habits. And if you feel burned out, you're told to fix your sleep, your diet, your routine, as if exhaustion were a personal flaw instead of a predictable outcome. Over time, this creates a quiet, psychological shift. You stop asking, "What is this system demanding from me?" and start asking, "Why can't I handle this like everyone else?" That question is heavy, because it turns normal human limits into a sense of failure. You begin to monitor yourself even more closely, not just what you're doing, but whether you're doing it well enough. That self-surveillance is exhausting on its own. It keeps your nervous system slightly tense, even when nothing urgent is happening. And the more tired you feel, the more you push yourself to compensate, which means the system never has to change. The pressure stays the same. Only your self-judgment increases. That's why this kind of fatigue doesn't just drain energy. It slowly erodes trust in yourself. There's something important to understand about this kind of tiredness. It isn't a warning that you're failing, it's information. It's your mind reacting normally to an environment that keeps it constantly engaged without ever letting it fully shut down. When you see exhaustion this way, something subtle changes. You stop treating tiredness as an enemy to defeat and start seeing it as a signal to interpret. Not a signal that you need to push harder, but a signal that your attention has been stretched across too many small demands for too long. And that means the answer isn't endless self-optimization. It isn't more discipline. It isn't better motivation. And it isn't learning how to tolerate more pressure. The real shift begins when you recognize which demands actually deserve your awareness, and which ones have been quietly consuming it without permission. That clarity doesn't fix everything overnight, but it does something more important. It gives you your inner reference point back. You stop assuming the problem is you, and you start noticing how your energy responds when the noise is reduced, when expectations are clearer, and when your mind is allowed to finish a thought instead of constantly abandoning it. Feeling tired all the time doesn't mean you're broken. It means you've been living inside a system that asks for continuous attention while pretending it doesn't cost anything. Once you see that clearly, the exhaustion makes sense. And when something makes sense, it stops feeling so heavy.